Recently, when watching Real Madrid games and witnessing things like this, and this, all of this made me wonder, what the fuck is wrong with Kylian Mbappe? How on earth can this man, highly regarded as one of the most mentally sound footballers in the world, be missing like that? What's the problem? Is it him? Is it the position, Ancelotti, or maybe the philosophy of the club? Listen, watching this Real Madrid team is painful, really. And this is coming from someone who watched them beat Girona and Atalanta and raise the level a little bit. Yes, they may have saved their arses in the Champions League with this win in Italy, as they will certainly be in the playoffs and even have a slight chance of making the top 8. But their performance is boring, unattractive, and makes me want to turn off the TV every time. This is not the Real Madrid we are used to, and on top of this whole mess is probably Mbappe. Look, I don't want to point to him as Madrid's biggest problem because I'm sure he'll be back. I saw what he did in Russia, I saw him in Qatar, I saw him against Real Madrid, against Barcelona. In the Champions League, this boy is a game changer, arguably the most clutch player in the world since he became a household name in the game. Just think about it, he has only had 2 big occasions where he's failed to deliver in his career. Only 2 moments when he struggled to cope with the pressure, the missed penalty against Switzerland at Euro 2020 and the Champions League final against Bayern Munich where he had a huge chance to score but missed. So you get the point, he will be back simply because he cannot afford to tarnish his reputation anymore. And I'm sure that when he achieved his dream and signed for Real Madrid, he mentally calmed down. He said to himself, okay, I've done with all the smaller clubs like PSG who don't have those superstars. I'm done with France on dozens of big occasions. What's stopping me from doing all that with Bellingham, Vini, Vivaldi and Rodrigo next to me? Yes, as unbelievable as it sounds, even the greatest athletes struggle mentally, and when things don't go as idyllically as they had ever imagined, they begin to fall apart. Because you can be sure that the problem with Mbappe is not his footballing abilities. We know he can take brutal penalties. We know he can put the ball in the top corner one-on-one with the goalkeeper 99 times out of 100. We know that. The problem is mainly mental because we can't say that he doesn't get the chances. No, he gets at least 1, sometimes 2 or even 3 big chances a game, and the statistics show it. Just look at this, when analysing the stats in La Liga, Mbappe has the highest rating of expected goals per 90 minutes. 0.81, which means that at least 1 big chance per game comes his way. Interestingly, however, the second player on the list is Vinicius, who is almost a half below with 0.49. The other metric that stands out is the big chances missed. Mbappe is in first place with 13 in 16 games in 2024-25, which is almost 1 big chance missed every league match this season, while Vini Jr., who is second on that list, is on 4. See? So the takeaway from these stats is that Mbappe is getting chances, but he's failing to convert them into goals. Yet what I see from the last few games is that there is a solution to the problem. Yes, the obvious thing to say in this case is Mbappe should just start scoring in a higher percentage of the situations he gets. Yes, that is indeed the simplest solution, but we all know that he is not going to get out of this crisis on his own. He needs the support of both his teammates and the coach. But before we get to the possible solutions, spend 5 seconds from your time and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you. Look, the idea I have in mind is simply to play more creative players in midfield who can create more chances for Mbappe so that he can increase his goal tally and finally find his rhythm. But that will require sacrifices. On paper, the 2 biggest creators in the team are Arda Güler and Brahim Diaz. Yes, Luka Modric also falls into this category, but how long can Ancelotti trust the Croatian, who turns 40 next year? Eventually it will happen. Modric will leave and the fans will be left with the excuse that Modric has retired, just like Toni Kroos this summer. Real Madrid must look to the future, not the past. And if the future says if you want to move forward, you have to forget about Modric and rely on the young players. And if Arda is too inexperienced, you can always turn to Brahim Diaz. Interestingly, in recent games, I have seen a good synergy between Diaz and Mbappe in the final third. The criminal miss by Kylian that we saw at the beginning of the video against Getafe, well, the assist came from Brahim Diaz. 10 days later, they combined again perfectly for Mbappe's goal against Atalanta. So, it is Brahim who could actually be the answer. But as we said, that requires sacrifice, and in this case, I'm talking from both a sporting and a marketing perspective. To play Brahim, you simply have to bench someone between Vini, Rodrigo, Bellingham or Mbappe. And as we saw against Atalanta, Rodrigo was benched, but do you know why? Not because he's a worse player than Mbappe or Bellingham, but because he doesn't have the PR of the BMV trio up front. Rodrigo just isn't going to sell as many match tickets as they will. He isn't going to sell as many shirts as they will, and he simply isn't going to attract as much attention as they will. And this is probably Real Madrid's biggest problem. Because imagine the following scenario. Firstly, we can all agree that of these four, Mbappe is the one in the worst form, right? Well, then maybe leaving him on the bench for a game or two would be justified. However, under such circumstances, just imagine what this would do to Real Madrid's reputation. They spent years and years trying to sign him, and in the end, they just put him on the bench. This would certainly have a devastating effect on Real Madrid's image. And this marketing mindset doesn't just apply to whether Mbappe should be left on the bench, it also applies to decisions on the pitch. Let's take the missed penalty against Athletic Club as an example. So Kylian misses a crucial penalty against Liverpool. Okay, you are mentally shaken, we move on. 3 days later, Madrid win a penalty against Getafe. Jude and Mbappe are both on the pitch and Jude scores. Then, a game against Bilbao. Mbappe missed a week ago, Jude scored in the last game, and the two decide that Mbappe should take it. And he misses again. But not only that, he places his shot in exactly the same spot as the one he missed against Liverpool 7 days earlier. Well, this is like the most hilarious thing I have ever seen a club do at this level. Absolutely unacceptable, really. Florentino Perez and his Galacticos mania are such a burden on Real Madrid that the team is suffering as a result. And they are behaving in a typical PSG manner at the moment, if you ask me. This is exactly the same mentality PSG showed when they had Mbappe, Messi, Neymar and Di Maria all at once. No, Madrid are at least not fighting on the pitch like Neymar and Cavani once did in a PSG shirt. Madrid are at least keeping all things hidden behind the cameras. Another key factor in Mbappe's downfall has been the comparisons to Cristiano Ronaldo. Look, the Galacticos were and will probably always be part of the Real Madrid aura. Figo, Zidane, Kaká, Cristiano Ronaldo, Gareth Bale, Eden Hazard and Jude Bellingham, all these players were at or close to their best when they arrived at the Santiago Bernabéu. Some of them shone, but others simply couldn't cope with the pressure. And when you're considered to be the heir to a legend from the past, you have two choices. Either work hard, be in a solid frame of mind and live up to expectations, or dig deep, fail to express yourself and ultimately fail. Of course, sometimes there's a second scenario for failure, and that's injury. Realistically, there are only two failed Galacticos in the above list, and they are Kaká and Eden Hazard. However, both were cruelly plagued by injuries for more or less their entire spells at the Bernabéu. With that in mind, let's take the most recent example before Mbappe, Jude Bellingham. The lights were shining brightly for him too, and he too had huge expectations. And last but not least, a massive transfer fee was paid for him. He had 100 million reasons to fail, but he locked in, shut the Zidane comparisons, expressed himself brilliantly, and delivered a Ballon d'Or caliber performance throughout last season. Mbappe, on the other hand, has not only not avoided the comparisons with Cristiano, but has deliberately put himself in such situations. Like on his presentation day in July when he walked around the whole stadium, stood in the exact same spot and said the same "Uno, dos, tres, a la Madrid," just like Ronaldo did 15 years ago. Mbappe did nothing original, nothing to be remembered as the Mbappe thing. And, well, you can't expect to protect your own reputation when you don't respect it and you put yourself in tough situations. Situations that you know there's no easy way out of. Yes, the Frenchman is showing some signs of improvement, especially since he started tucking in his shirt, but he still has a long way to go to bring the old Kylian Mbappé back. And we all should hope for this to happen, because it would be a pity to lose out on one of the most talented footballers ever born. If you enjoyed that one, please don't forget to like and subscribe, as well as watching our previous video in which we analysed Arda Güler's fortunes at Real Madrid. I'll catch you there.